Well, hello. As we're sitting here at the LTV here with the Hello Hello Show on Friday, December 1st, year 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. So that goes to show you, I would say, yes, 43 years. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there, and make it your business to enhance and fortify the concept of public access. And you really are doing it, knowingly, unknowingly, but it shows because we have a wonderful uh, entity, station, studios that represent uh, the core idea of what it really means to have public access in the hands of the public. With all the cliche aspect of it, it's actually on the surface very effective, powerful, and effective, efficient. And and this is a reflection of all the producers and residents of this community, citizens that are just people, and realizing and finding out that indeed there's a place for every expression of desire to be involved with the concept, or to be involved with one's own desire to explain, share, interact with, for the sake of being able to do it. If only for that, then we're doing just fine. Here at LTV in the east end of Long Island, Wainscott, New York. As I said, this is the Hello Hello Show. I was actually supposed to have, well, maybe Steve Rom's going to call us, so I'm going to get the chance to harass him a little bit for about 15 minutes, and let's see if I can get a confession from him. um, so the last show, I mean, not that I think you really remember. 2 days ago, October 29th, I remember that October 28th and October 29th were two sections where I was as if I was really um, taking you across whatever it is that's laid out there for me, that I was obviously kind of put together by myself. I.e., studio for the artist. Studio for the artist, as the need dictates, and the space and the sacredness of the presence in the space, the willingness to engage, the actual fusion, the actual results from this cooperation, the actual understanding that certain things can absolutely not be taken for granted, and the the whole idea of mindfulness, being mindful of something, really comes to play here. It's a very tricky thing, mindfulness, because it interprets itself in many ways, because it yields itself it, to every concept that it encounters. It's very, and then managing not to develop any attachment, so that therefore the process goes, even though you're really coming together with most aspects and feeling it and getting the sense of it, but still maintaining speed. Um, um, so eh, after the fact, when I thought about it, that all came to a point where I realized that when you let it be, when you spend 8 hours in one space in creating, and you go home, or you leave, you come back the following day, so there's this fraction of time there that the space itself going through. I mean, I thought it was beneficial to think about it this way. Is what's really happening, the things that you left behind. I mean, you can add some drama, even though it's young history uh, that's under discussion. Still, nevertheless, young history offers a lot of drama, as much as 1,000 years, as much as 70 years. And I wanted to me find a way, preferably an easy way, to blend in, and to be a part of the action, a part of the involved individuals, creators of all sorts, with just by way of a crash course, being introduced to a reality that is meaningful, and whereas usually you would have to wear yourself out just in the process of trying to apply to become a part of this, realizing the benefit of being able to cut the time that we spend really getting things in order. Uh, Early on in my artistic process, I never liked the sentence putting things in order, getting things in order. It's like it never agreed with me. Never knew why. Accepted it at face value as such, and realized that I'm just like kind of on my way. And the fact that I realized in more occasion than one that I'm actually achieving things fairly quickly and fast. And my interpretation was efficiency. Uh, the faster, whatever it is, I never use really the termination like fast or slow, but things got done. Things just showed up almost as if it was out of nowhere, when everyone that we're observing knew that what they're witnessing takes time to create. That's another thing that I had discussions with artists about, trying to convince them just as much as they're trying to convince me that we want to yield ourselves in a non-official way, really, in our own imaginative channels, that we can kind of play that game, that we yield ourselves to the um, curious, and let them, and rightfully so, we should kind of give them a little material and some space to operate. we, we have to be able to help the other forces that are kind of across from us to thrive, and to, it's just like any, just like the relationship with a musical instrument, really. A lot of the time speed is really a point of reference, which is, I mean, i I agree with this statement, even though um, speed is really just a way of describing the level of zealousness of the individual that actually uses it as a tool and inserts it into the evolutionary process, into the existing wheels of this machine, hoping for things to be more smooth operated, and with just little anticipation of anything going wrong. And then you realize that actually at the end of the day, it's not that you realize so much has been done. Oh my God, it's got to be done. Someone did it in a hurry. But in the same token, you realize that it was actually because you found a way to bypass certain things that had nothing to do with the act of painting or playing or rehearsing or writing, or just like, the whole orchestration of ideas and involvement and whatnot. So you realize that you actually achieved it in a shorter time, but in a different way than as if you were to say, "I'm going to speed it up in order to shorten that which is long," but rather I will bypass that which does not belong there, and therefore I already start with an advantage. So if we both start the same process, and you need 150 and I need 92, I'm just throwing numbers. What is the chances that I will get there ahead of you, just by way of credit, so to speak? But is and it's amazing how, when I had conversations with artists, how different. Well, we're all alike, no matter what. If you have a desire to paint paintings, it doesn't matter who you sit with. You're all alike. There's a thing or two that runs through the DNA, through the spine of it all. And certain things we cannot help. It's just we need to learn about their nature and accept them. But then again, I always thought I shouldn't even deal with these things because it's so cliche. And I want to refer from being cliche, or I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know even why I'm using the word cliche. But cliche is something that it's my way of saying something that I don't like, or something like, or an attitude that I don't like. You whatever. So anyway, so I refer from being cliche unless it serves a purpose. The purpose of the process that's under discussions. That means, yeah, you can improvise, you can do this and then all this, but you cannot lose track of what's happening on the stage. So I think I was good at that. I was good of knowing how to faint and then come back and realize where you are, where you were, what there. So you're always hands-on kind of thing, no matter what kind of mood swings or weather changes or whatever it is, that makes things just like suddenly it's raining, suddenly it's 100 degrees. So the way to actually put that kind of potential clicheism on hold, on freeze, you really want to go to substance. You want to understand that if you speak of speed, well, I approach myself this way. If you want to achieve speed, so if I have three mediums that I can deal with: playing the drums, writing poetry, writing period, painting fine paintings. What is it that I'm going to introduce first in order to serve as a initiator, a, a you know, adding some spice to the atmosphere, maybe, increase the awareness, stuff like that. And um, I would choose, like percussion. I would choose rhythm. I would choose a structure that I can imagine, but with extreme understanding, technical understanding of its nature. So that means if I see the speed, if I realize the speed, it is faster than this, and faster than this, but understanding that concept without the need to be tested by it in order to be accepted by it. And then you want to be able to take either poetry or painting fine paintings closer closer to that space where it can really be within the atmosphere of the going up or coming down, but changing, just kind of relocating. And uh, and and then you can make each one of the mediums that you have at your disposal to use first or last, a center, or top of the helm, the crown, the tail, the any structure. You can always kind of borrow these three mediums and play with them in a way, in a playful way, and that actually the nature of these mediums will be in somewhat of an impressive sync with you, and 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 enough to know that things are actually okay, and then you're feeling lucky that you can actually create and maybe even prematurely leave things the way they are in order to say, okay, I need to move on, not only in that process in front of me, but rather the whole flotilla, to move from this place to that place, and then take it from there. So you you want to accept its simplicity, because it really is actually. It's just gonna, you know, uh, like this is the point where if you bring that which is cliche into this equation, then it will be helpful actually. That you're actually saying to yourself, well, okay, I'm going to hear that rhythm, and that rhythm is going to be something kind of basic on the middle layer, very basic light um, coat on top of it, like almost this kind of permanent form of parking. Exactly that permanent form of parking. And you know that it's actually leading you uh, to home sweet home. So you're going from that rhythm, and you're actually accepting pre the process of preconceiving, but mixed with lots of emotions. Not yours, his, that could have been yours, and most probably will become more and more who you are now. So you say, okay, so you're going from the the percussion aspects of it, and you're opening it up. The composition on the canvas, that even if it's not there, really, all the energy around knows that it's as good as done. I mean, it's going to be done. So when you're trying to suggest that it's going to be done so fast, you wouldn't even be noticed that it will be done, and therefore there's a guarantee that indeed, even though you see cracks, it's still a smooth, uh, whole WHOLE uh, surface. It's like as good as done, as good as new. But anyway, so you you're getting help from three different levels that serves as layers. But even if they serve as layers, they're still independent levels on their own journalistic, no, a journalistic mm, um, nature or a personality or acquired or temporary personality. So the thing is that quickly enough you realize that it's not really about understand. Well, you understand the game. The game is pretty much kind of thinly constructed. That doesn't have to have strong foundation because it's already been achieved in the pre-concept of that reality that's been unfolding. That is just a little tiny part of endless amount of possibilities and plans and a record, history, short history, young history. So so you really understand. I really understood quickly enough that it's all about really a, a whatever it takes. You stand in front of the canvas. To your right, you have your acoustic drum set. If at all you're lucky enough to say that you can play the drums, but that's not a prerequisite. You can still be the one that cannot supposedly play the drums at all. The drums are there. Nobody knows whether you can or cannot. Canvas. And you just had that little tiny notebook with a pencil in your hand about 30 seconds ago. You don't even know why it was in your hand, and you don't even remember that you put it down, you pick it up again, and you're actually finding yourself writing to all that concerned and and helpful. Lo and behold, what if it was to be is already a full description of the point at that. So okay, so um, putting a cap on the situation. I mean, that means you can experience triumph. I, I don't even know which word to use in order to describe it. Eh, you get some kind of a sense of completion. It's almost like, wow, you whatever it is, you have a qualification, you have a conclusion, you have a grade, you passed, you not only that you have, you're already thinking about these things while you fully established on the the new level that you, and of course new reality, new point of reference, new attitude, new, and and you always know that there are maybe 100 like this. I don't want to say thousands, but at least 100, 100, and many. And you realize that now, when you start in the process of accumulation, really got to be the least amount sophisticated, really, because you don't want any unnecessary energies that sometimes cannot be controlled by anything being potentially there. That you just want, even if it's a short time, when it's short time, full time, 100% of that short time at your disposal to flush things out or to do all the things that we will never get to know because it will be just yours, that kind of. But so I had conversations with artists, even those who, yes, they were painting, and maybe in the past they played the saxophone, or someone attempted to write a novel and actually did write, and it wasn't that successful, but it was good. And he's a great artist. He's a great artist. He just happens to be a great artist. And you see his paintings, and they are like, I look at his paintings and I say, who is this guy? I really do. I say, who is this guy? Who is this guy? But what is in the immediacy of that feeling that you can't help but uh, feel very excited about something that happens to be new. So even if you know him or you don't know him, you'll be able to tell. It's like the artist is helping you to figure things out, because the artist doesn't want to spend time, too much time with anybody, really. The artist wants to greet and to say hi and to feel the energy, but the artist doesn't like to just take it anywhere it goes, kind of thing. But in the same token, there's uh, there's much to be learned and to from those who gain some kind of experience, and especially those that you trust a lot, so you kind of implement as of immediately. Then you see results, and the results are that you go to your studio and you paint, and then close people come and see you now and then, and you do let them in. Usually you don't, and then they come, and you feel that it does something strong to people. And even though it's something that you're familiar with and you know because it happened to you in the past, that people were taken by your paintings and were taken by your truthful effort, desire, um, coping is a big word. You gotta coping with your desires. It's like not like just answering them, granting them the time and but coping, meaning promising or basic guarantee that we're not going to just like split town or something, we're not going to just like suddenly disappear and nowhere to be found. But I look at his paintings and I say to myself, keep your mouth shut. You walk around and you're quiet and you observe and you know that you're witnessing something really great and something that you love, period, before you even began to grasp what, if at all or if it not, whatever. But so every step further into the display is humbling and more humbling and even more humbling, because the only tool you would have, I would have, to to get to this conclusion is because you know enough to look and say, this is monstrous. I noticed about some that are inserting some, like for example, Steve Ram. He's got that kind of stubbornness with the three-hair brush, or if need be, even less than, just the whole idea of what you see. If you choose to see it as you see it for what it is, that's okay. And if it's otherwise, that's okay. But for the artist, for example, Steve Ram, it will be just like getting things done and trying very hard to get them done right. Even though we can sit and discuss right, wrong, of course. I mean, but whatever. Tomorrow it can change. It can be a different definition. So you know that you can thank him ahead of time, because when you go and you reconnect with your intensity of your immediate zone, immediate space, the the place where you choose to spend the time and to create something from nothing, really, most of the times. And you bring someone new with you, recollections. And then it's so it's so painful to try and use revelations that you allowed yourself to be exposed to vis-a-vis other people's creative people's creations. And and deep inside you hear it says, I am fully convinced that this or these artists are hoping that people will make certain things that they show them theirs. This kind of level of camaraderie, that just kind of down to earth, but it's kind of very muscly down to earth, like solid stems, like like a shy bodybuilder with something next to perfection, kind of top result, and a lifetime of maintenance of that top result, maintaining it. Like I'm just, I can only contemplate. And I saw all these videos that are available of great artists. I saw Hoffman paint for 40s or 50s and all this, and I remember that whatever he did there was actually very simple, but you get the chance to look at the person, and suddenly there is a wide variety of feelings and sensations and imagination that you're like, taking on a trip that at the end of this trip you will get to know that person fairly well, and suddenly when you look at what he's doing or the result of it, you're saying, yes, yes, of course, but of course, yes, 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 but of course, but of course, but of course, but of course, yeah, yes. um, no disappointment. I mean, there's just like something like the desperately uh, trying to maintain loyalty. I love that. I don't know towards what or how, but I feel a sense of loyalty, and maybe inward, outward, friends, world, and art, and being convinced how because there are many great artists, but very few are whatever it is. I don't even want to say names. Are like those that are just um, create something, and they of course cannot see it done completely, never, because they have to kind of put it together and feel inside them that it still needs some touch-ups. It's done, but it's not done, type of thing. But once they go out, they realize they cannot gain access to it anymore. I mean, it's there, people observed it, and you're good to go. You're done. You cannot do anything with it anymore. So there's this the pleasantness of knowing that even in such intense moments, times, situations, there's room to feel relaxed and comfortable, like literally relaxed and comfortable. And then, of course, knowingly that it's going to serve the purpose, so you serve the effort. No, help the effort. Help. And but every time if you think every time, anytime or every time that doubt will come to your head and say, well, I went to see this artist. And it wasn't even a gallery setting. And it was wonderful, wonderful, strong. So I try to refer from fully expressing how I feel about what I was feeling, what I was going through. But the main thing is just like, for example, the recollection with Kenwood Denard. I studied drums with Kenwood Denard, 1984, Spanish Harlem, for about 8 months. Kenwood Denard was a, a force to be reckoned with. That's putting it extremely mildly. I don't know how I ended up. I ended up being his student, was accepted by him, and I was terrified. And I was spending an hour and 15 minutes with him, and I was exhausted from the sitting in the presence of so much greatness. It was just ridiculous. It was so intense. And I remember that he used to turn to me sometimes and he used to ask me, did you understand? Do you understand? He was going through. Dun, this is syncopation, but he was very powerful. He had two drum sets in his studio, and then a part of the lesson with him would be like a third of it would be like sitting uh, across from one of the best in the world, two acoustic drum sets. Um, so he now and then he just wanted to make sure you understand, and I said yes, and I was like somehow managed to survive 8 months, taking in so much, and then it took and I'm not exaggerating, maybe even until today, but at least 10, 15 years of releasing due and thanks to the 8 months that I spent with the maestro. And he used to turn to me and say, "Do you understand?" I used to look at him and I used to say, "This guy is the most majestic animal." I mean, in a positive connotation, animal, like intense, forceful, yet graceful. And of course, if you see what he did with Bushrock or Gil Evans at Sweet Basil and in the late 90s, mid 90s, late 80s, great stuff. Um, so I cannot ignore the relationship between how even a little more than just basic understanding of a certain medium, for that sake, it can be just a musical instrument. That you look at the drum set and you feel like you understand the nature of this instrument in front of you, the character. Uh, you know how you were to use it if you needed to, even though you're not a drummer. There's some kind of a friendly atmosphere that's yielding itself to you, making it very easy for you to understand what it is that you're seeing, witnessing, things like that. And you, I was grateful. I was grateful. That means also learn that sometimes some incredible things come your way and you're like feeling like saying, "What?" And then you're just like, "Okay, this is good." Don't get me wrong. This is good. So this is the extent of the celebration. Just actually saying, "This is good. This is good. Good indeed." And right there's a sense of urgency that was injected, maybe up to 15% level of intensity. It will be just a matter of fact in our lives from birth to death. And the joy of a wonderful, colorful journey where, your character has been sliced in so many uh, scenarios and somehow kind of finding itself reconfigured under different entity, location, but still, the adaptation of the good old self, just in a new environment and all together in a place that um, it leaves 100% ability to guess and to contemplate and to um, contribute also. So and okay, let's see. That's the way. Hey, Steve.
Hello?
Yeah, the you're on the air, yes?
Yes, I'm here. Are you still on air?
Yes, yes.
Hello to the world out there.
So, how many people you managed to make unhappy today?
I'm working on it. The day's not over.
So, I just mentioned your name and about this, an urge that I find about you, that you will never resist the temptation to use a three-hair brush and believe that indeed is the right thing to do.
Hey, a triple zero brush is basically, let's put it this way: if you're taking them off a pig and using pig bristles, the pig would not be nude from pulling out the hairs for thousands of years to come. That's how few hairs are in the brush.
Yeah, but also, what is it that's actually made us feel and gave us the power to carry on and to prevail? You know, it takes because I was talking about behind certain things, just so much work, so many hours needed, so much time. You know, so it's very evident to see someone's work and realize when that someone put the time he must have, especially when you see the results. You can say, I mean, wow, how much.
I think the real sense of time that when you're painting, time doesn't exist. And you know, my theory about time is that time is a construct that we've made, that humans have made. And if you think about it, if we were on another planet, we wouldn't have a 24-hour day or a 65-day year. It would be totally different. So time would be different. And I look at it this way: there is no past, that's gone. There is no now, and there is no future. So time in reality doesn't really exist. It's something that we as humans need in order to function in our world.
Yeah, but we live in the sometimes it does exist. This is the era of sometimes. So that's the way I feel about it. And but tell me, I was concerned that you're not going to go and upset your doctor, and then he will just inject you with some.
No, I made my doctor very happy. She said to me that for my age, which we know is ancient, that my vision is excellent and that it's far better than most people that are 10 or 15 or even 20 years younger than me. So I keep getting these great reports about my state of health, and yet mentally and physically, I wish it was all true. So, you know, I think they lie.
Well, anyway, I agree with him because I think that you got something going there for you, rooting for you.
Something is functioning. That
Okay,
keeps
tell me.
me
By the way,
going.
before I forget, tell me about the new abstract painting. Can you describe it in like 8 sentences or less? What
About the
stage?
which again?
The new abstract that you said you started or will start.
The new abstract is started. It is a companion to the one that I did, and it's divided into two sections. One section is going to be dark. One section is going to be light. And there's a big curve down the middle, and there will be overlapping features from one side to the other. But it's a duality. I think that's the right word. It's a duality of conflicting patterns, designs, layers, etc., that have to work together and merge together. That's artist speak, which means nothing.
That's yeah. That was
really
that was
good.
very interesting. Very nice. Nicely said.
Doesn't it sound good?
Yeah, very.
So in essence, it sort of does. And I hadn't thought of it that way, but it's like if you were to take one of your paintings and put a line down the middle and say, okay, on the left side, I'm going to do what you have in one of your new paintings, which is it has a sense of distance to it, it has a sense of movement to it. And then the other side is the opposite. It's stable, it doesn't move, it doesn't have a sense of distance, but it still functions on its own as a totally separate piece, but the two of them have to function together. So when you remove the tape in the middle that divides the two juxtaposed next to each other do work together. Even though one's full of movement and one's stable, they function as one.
Yes, but that's easier said than done, you know.
Much easier said than done. That's that's the challenge. That's what makes it really interesting.
Yeah, so you keep it alive verbally, and like through your imagination, you kind of filter it and grind it. And also it's good because we don't have to wait to the end to see whether we're doing well or not. We have many indications along the way, so we
And there's
can
a and
so we can make
because
it we can make adjustments in real time, which is
you make adjustment, and
a
what's
great
interesting
advantage.
about it, unlike doing just like the last abstract, which was one painting, or landscape, which is just one painting, everything in it coincides to every other part of it. This has got something that is inherently not supposed to work together, and you have to make it work together, and that's the challenge, which normally we don't give ourselves. When you do a painting, it's a coherent painting. When I do a painting, it's a coherent painting.
So
Now I'm doing,
so you divide it into two separate, but how do you decide on what's going to be the shape of each one of them,
I don't know.
or the
That's
portion?
the that's the interesting part. That's the challenge, is to, and I'm finishing the dark side first. I'm not working on the light side at all yet, but I have some sense as to what's going to overlap, what's not going to overlap.
Yeah. Okay, so they're like, they're like mingling in that point of that center, and very thoughtfully and very mildly. But so it leaves a lot of room for each section to be what it really is.
Yeah, I think that when the dark side is, I feel like I'm in Star Wars. When the dark side is completed, it will tell me what the white side needs or the light side needs, and then with that being done, in the process of doing that, there will come a point where I will see how the dark goes into the light and how the light goes into the dark, so that there's an overlapping, and both come to a common conjunction so that they work together.
Yeah. But anyway, I when I mentioned your name, I mentioned your name in relationship to like I was talking about this artist, or just any artist, any potential artist that you can think is alive, and you can imagine the work that he or she have, and you can imagine all these wonderful good things that it does to you when you see that, and you're just happy that you're able to appreciate, because in order to be able to appreciate, you need to kind of accumulate some kind of a basic knowledge, hands-on experience, and then there's so much to enjoyment, and then you realize that you really don't need anything in order to enjoy, as so long that you will just kind of make a point that it's important to think about it, and to try and do, and to try to be to be involved, and to contribute whatever it is that you have to.
I think that with this painting, I've set a challenge for myself that I normally don't do. It's usually very easy for me to go into the studio, start the painting, finish the painting, blah, blah, blah. It's done. The last abstract, I just like the landscapes, or like the big painting that was at your show. The little red lines were your guidelines that took people in and out of windows and showed them the depth where they should go. This one is really different in that all the other ones were really uh, easy to do, because everything was coherent in the painting. There wasn't anything that was a challenge, especially in the landscapes. There's a balance between the sky that I always paint and the land that I paint. Those were easy. I mean, they weren't easy technically to do. They were very complicated to do because of the process. This is a whole different challenge. And I think that that's really important. Somehow, subconsciously, I set that for myself. And rather than making it easy, I've made it really hard, and it kind of feels good.
Yeah, but you gotta be 60/40. Listen, if you're not 60 abstract and avant-garde and alternative, and 40 conservative, then you cannot make a good abstract and you good freestyle. No.
I
You
totally
have to
agree.
be dominant in that section. It doesn't matter. It can be 51/49. To have some kind of a symbolic authority over the moment.
Right.
And you
For me, I'm thinking that do I want to incorporate some drawing into it, like not necessarily like the drawing I had in your last show, but um, I'm not sure where this is going to
which
go.
sucked, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean it.
Hey, I challenge anybody in that show, anybody, to meet me at a studio with a model and do some drawing as good as that.
Oh yeah, that's solid. No, it's solid, but
I mean, it's not a
but I'm not surprised. The thing is, that I'm just surprised that you actually carried on and made it. A doubt about whether we have you could or couldn't. Was never a doubt, but the doubt was:
not
is he gonna
pretty.
do it to begin with at all?
Let me ask you a question. Would people have been happier if the drawing that I had done was beautiful with a beautiful model, even though I would have distorted it, but it wouldn't have been somebody who was old, aged, decrepit, distorted. Um, it is not a pretty drawing. It's really well drawn. But suppose the subject had been totally different, and it had been a beautiful figure. Would people have been happier with that?
Um, I, I don't know how to answer this question, but
See,
I thought what you submitted was first of all different. It added a lot of character and integrity to the show because it was kind of really different. There was no
right,
sketch. There's no you were the only sketch. I hate to call it sketch because it was much more than a sketch, a
right,
portrayal of real life. Just using kind of whatever something black.
right.
So I can appreciate that because I can achieve that through it, through an artistic reality that's completely in opposition to yours, but they will be very close to each other. At the
I
end
mean,
of the day, no matter what, I will never be able to successfully stay away from the concept of the others because
I mean, I could
we
have
have so
done a
much of it.
yeah, I could have done a drawing for the show. I wanted to do something that was not a painting because just to put up another painting for me was no longer a challenge. I wanted to give you something really different. And on top of it, the fact that it was not pretty and that it was distorted and it challenged whoever was looking at it. A lot of people didn't want to look at it because it wasn't pretty. But life is not always pretty. Not everything is really beautiful, and sometimes you have to face things that aren't pretty. But there's a lot of art out there that's great. Would I call a Bruegel pretty? Absolutely not. I mean, a Bosch, a Bruegel painting, their their interpretation of hell and what goes on in it is not pretty. Is it a great painting? Absolutely. And it challenges the viewer to look at something that they don't necessarily want to look at, but they're drawn into it. And I think that that's the challenge. So, when you said there's a show, I thought to myself, well, do I put another painting in? Do I do another abstract? What do I do? Let me do something that's really different that nobody else is going to have. So that was my goal. And could I put something, a really beautiful drawing in? Sure. But I didn't want to do that. So I think I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I've been looking at it, and the more I look at it, the more I like it. It stands up because it's really well drawn. And I put the date on there, 1961 to 2023, because it started in 61 and it finished this year.
Oh, really?
So it started my freshman year of college, and I redrew a lot of it. I worked on a lot of it, and I changed a lot of it. So it's been over almost a 60-year period of time that drawing has existed with changes.
That's amazing. So listen, your timing was great. I'm just kind of wrapping up the show. Wanted to mention that Steve Rom is on the phone with us, and it's um, Friday afternoon, December 1st, year 2023. Can you believe it, Steve?
Unbelievable.
And it's
Unbelievable.
a beautiful day today. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I don't know where you are, but it's not beautiful here.
Yeah, I know, but the whole day was beautiful, and now it started raining a little bit. That's awesome.
Even, you know what? It is 51 degrees out, which is better than 31 degrees.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
hey, we're alive. We're outside. We're inside. We're doing things. It's a beautiful day.
Sounds good. Listen, so again, let me thank you, Steve, for being a friend and being a mentor of this show, and somewhat of a mentor on me, or maybe actually more than somewhat. And I thank you for the friendship.
And I thank you. And please,
I think he's gone. Are you
did you
there?
lose that? Did
Yeah.
you lose that?
What did you say? Say it again. I lost you.
I said, please keep those checks coming for the easel.
For the- Well, you mean from whatever is left of it?
Right.
But yeah, do me a favor and so
That easel walked out of the art department at Boston University under my arm in 1961. So you're working with something that's really old and has seen a lot of artwork on it.
I already painted over, listen, 20 paintings on it. You believe?
Hey, I hope each one gets better and better.
No. I'm not kidding you. Not by the weekend it will be 2 dozen. Major all the time. I'm
glad you're enjoying it.
Okay, so listen, I got to get off the air. We're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here today. December 1st, year 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. Thank you to my guest, Steve Ram. Steve, thank you. I appreciate it.
I always love being on your show. You know that. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. We'll talk to you later.